Mitch's Fishes, welcome back, guys. It's been a little bit. Had a work meeting out in Orlando. Kind of had 2 weeks of neglect. I noticed, or if you're going to notice, it's been a little bit of loss. I made a rookie mistake. I purchased a coral from an online vendor who I've used a couple times before. I didn't dip the coral. It was a green slimer, and that led to a lot of problems. Basically, what happened was we had some of these bugs come out, and I was noticing my monti, I had one, and it was kind of diminishing and kind of looking pretty gnarly and nasty. And at first I suspected an alk swing, and that wasn't the case. And then one night I saw these little black dots. I came out to get a drink of water in the middle of the night, checked on my tank, got a little OCD, was looking at stuff, and I just saw these little bugs coming from the acro, literally coming from them, going to the monti, and they were just eating the tissue. So after that happened, with the degradation, the monti was releasing chemicals into the water. The torch ended up getting brown jelly. The hammer caught it next, and then finally my frog spawn. It was just a catastrophic event. Did a water change. I also implemented in the overflow a UV sterilizer. If you check it out, I could actually turn it on, and you'll see in the back, you'll see a light turn on. See, and that just kind of, I know all the beneficial bacteria in the sump, hopefully some of them still remain okay, but that I use to combat the the harmful bacteria and everything from the brown jelly. So you can see there's a little bit of algae here. I got to get with a toothbrush and maybe some hydrogen peroxide next week. I got my mollies. They're always looking for food, and they eat some of the algae. I got to clean this too. This sucker's going on over 5 years, and this green star polyp is a new addition. Basically, I'm going back to basics here. Testing my water more frequently just to see if all the parameters are steady. Also going to be checking my par. I got a par checker for this week coming up to see what the levels are here, because I might be upgrading. This is an old school WavePoint T5HO, which I actually converted. I don't know if you can see the reflection of the LEDs that fit into them. It's okay. It runs okay. Only two of the four ballasts are able to run at once. It looks like it's overloading the circuit. I might get another current with the loop, or maybe two Kessels. I'm not really quite sure here. The tank is quite deep, so I'd like to see if I could get some of the Montipora and the Acros maybe growing here. Start with something easy like a Monty Digi or an Elkhorn, something fairly susceptible or not susceptible to the chemicals that leach between the Kenya tree and the anemone, because that's going to be something. This seldom moves, so it should be okay. The Kenya tree, I could relocate it over here and just dose a little more carbon and lower my alk, just to keep everything very good here as far as all my water chemistry. You could see a little bit of the microbubbles. I've been combating that for quite some time. I also had another thing happen where I got my skimmer back online, this ETSS Super Scump, and that's a drinking water safe putty. This whole tower, basically, the glue eroded away over time. I bought it second or third or fourth hand. I'm not the original owner. It's gone through some stuff. And the whole tower just came off when I came back from my work meeting. Luckily, it happened when I was back. So this had to get resealed. And then while I discovered that, I relocated this pump for the skimmer. It's designed to be in this chamber, but I was never able to fit it. So I retrofitted another pump I had, rehooked it up into the tower, and set it up to try and alleviate, because the microbubbles were just way worse. Then I'm running GFO in this reactor here, as well as some Cheeto, and I got a couple sponge filters in there just to try and slow it down in the sump and create some baffling. Everything's going good. It's got a Mag 9.5, an auto doser Jabo that's been great. Some of the nasty of the sump, it's always looking pretty nasty. Everything's going alright, so we're going to see if we could just try and go back to basics, more frequent water testing, a little bit heavier water change before we actually get the new specimens of coral, because you want to take your time, especially in this hobby, and do things right. After all that, and if I notice the levels are stable and there's good enough par and water flow and the chemistry checks out, I'm going to start with maybe an Elkhorn or something a little bit more hardy with the SPS in this corner. And if it doesn't take, then I'm just going to start sticking to the softies